Commander Alex Foster stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, gazing at the stars. For decades, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Today, they finally had their answer. It began 3 days ago when every communication device on Earth simultaneously received the same message. Greetings, people of Terra. The Galactic Council acknowledges your civilization and extends an invitation to join the interstellar community. The message had been transmitted in perfect English, along with translations in all major Earth languages. It included coordinates for a rendezvous point just beyond Jupiter's orbit, where Council representatives would meet Earth's chosen ambassadors. Global chaos followed the announcement. Religious groups declared it either the work of angels or demons. Stock markets crashed, then skyrocketed. Military forces went on high alert. Conspiracy theorists claimed vindication. But most importantly, for the first time in recorded history, Earth's nations united under a common purpose: preparing for first contact. Alex watched as technicians performed final checks on the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced spacecraft. Sleek and powerful, the Horizon represented the pinnacle of human engineering, a fusion-powered vessel capable of reaching 10% of light speed. Until 3 days ago, it had been mankind's pride. Now, Alex wondered if it would look like a child's toy to the aliens. Nervous? A voice asked behind him. Alex turned to see Dr. Natalie Chen, Earth's leading xenolinguist and one of 2 primary ambassadors selected to meet the Council. Wouldn't you be? Alex replied. We're about to face beings who casually crossed interstellar space to say hello. Natalie smiled. I'm terrified, but also excited. Think about it. Real aliens, Alex. Everything we've ever wondered about intelligent life beyond Earth, we'll start learning tomorrow. If they don't decide we're too primitive to bother with, Alex said. That's why they sent me, said another voice. Ambassador Jack Wilson stepped onto the deck, his customary confidence evident in his stance. To make sure they take us seriously. Selected for his diplomatic expertise and calm under pressure, Jack was Earth's primary representative. A veteran negotiator who had brokered peace between warring nations, he now faced his greatest challenge. The delegation is assembled and ready for boarding, Jack announced. Final preparations complete, we launch in 3 hours. The team of 20 included diplomats, scientists, and military personnel, the best Earth had to offer. Commander Foster would captain the Horizon, with orders to represent humanity with dignity and strength. 2 days later, they reached the rendezvous point. The Council ship appeared without warning, simply materializing beside them. It dwarfed the Horizon, its silver-blue hull shimmering with lights that seemed to flow like liquid. My God, whispered Natalie. It's beautiful. Their communication system activated. A figure appeared on screen, vaguely humanoid but with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Greetings, humans. I am Zevnar of the Zilari, Council First Speaker. We welcome you to Galactic Society. Behind Zevnar stood representatives of other species, the reptilian Voth with their armored scales, the diminutive Murians whose bodies seemed partially transparent, and several others too alien to easily describe. On behalf of Earth, we thank you, Jack responded. We come seeking friendship and knowledge. Zevnar's mouth formed what might have been a smile. Indeed, your species has been observed for some time. Your rapid technological advancement is noteworthy, if somewhat unrefined. The Council has voted to offer humanity provisional membership status. Alex noticed something in the alien's tone, a subtle condescension perhaps. He glanced at Jack, who gave an imperceptible nod. He'd caught it too. We would be honored, Jack replied carefully, and eager to learn about Council protocols and expectations. Excellent, said Zevnar. You will follow us to Harmony Station, where formal introductions will be made. There, all member species will showcase their contributions to galactic civilization. As the communication ended, Natalie turned to Jack. Did that feel like we were being patted on the head to you? Absolutely, Jack said quietly. We're being treated like children who finally learned to write their names. but we'll play along. For now. The Horizon's engines hummed as it followed the council vessel into the unknown. The Harmony Station loomed before them, a massive structure resembling a gleaming metal flower with petals stretching miles wide. The UES Horizon approached slowly, dwarfed by the station and the various alien vessels docked around it. It would take Earth's combined resources for a century to build something like this, Engineer Megan Powell whispered, as she stared at the station's dimensions on her console. Commander Foster guided the Horizon to their assigned docking port, following the precise instructions transmitted by station control. The human delegation prepared for disembarkation, straightening uniforms and checking translation devices. Remember, Ambassador Wilson addressed the group, we represent all of humanity. Observe everything, learn what you can, but maintain dignity, regardless of how we're received. Dr. Chen nodded. Their body language and social cues will be alien to us. Don't assume their reactions mean what they would coming from humans. When the airlock opened, they were greeted by a delegation of various species. Zevnar stood at the front, forearms clasped in what appeared to be a formal posture. Welcome to Harmony Station, humans. We have prepared accommodations suitable for your physiology. Tomorrow begins the exhibition of capabilities, where all member species demonstrate their contributions to galactic security and advancement. Ambassador. Wilson smiled diplomatically. We look forward to learning from the Council and sharing Earth's achievements. A sound like bubbling water came from one of the aliens, possibly laughter. Zevnar silenced it with a gesture. Yes, we are most curious about human achievements. The next day, the human delegation was escorted to an enormous amphitheater. Representatives from dozens of species filled the tiered seating, creating a dizzying array of colors, shapes, and sounds. The humans were seated in a small section, near the front marked with Earth's flag. Let the exhibition of capabilities commence, announced a booming voice. One by one, species took the central platform to showcase their technologies. The Zilari demonstrated energy weapons that could disintegrate targets without harming surrounding objects. The Voth displayed shield technology that adapted to any attack form. The Murians revealed AI combat systems that could predict and counter enemy tactics with perfect accuracy. Each demonstration drew appreciative sounds from the audience. Council members nodded in approval, occasionally making comments to each other. As Earth's turn approached, Admiral Lisa Barnes, head of the military contingent, leaned toward Wilson. They're going to laugh at us, she said quietly. Our most advanced weapons are centuries behind what we've just seen. Wilson's jaw tightened. Show them anyway. We won't pretend to be something we're not. When Earth was announced, Admiral Barnes took the platform with Lieutenant Ryan Kelly, who carried a case containing examples of Earth's military technology. The United Earth Defense Force relies primarily on kinetic energy weapons, Admiral Barnes explained as Lieutenant Kelly displayed a military-grade railgun, conventional firearms, and miniaturized missile systems. We have also developed directed energy weapons, though they remain in early stages. For a moment, the amphitheater was silent. Then a sound swept through the crowd, unmistakably laughter. Even to human ears, the derisive tone needed no translation. Zevnar rose from the council dais, forearms spread wide. You fire physical projectiles, solid metal propelled by chemical explosions? The translator couldn't fully convey the incredulity in the alien's voice. Such weapons have not been used by civilized species for millennia. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Lieutenant Kelly's face flushed red, but he stood at attention, eyes forward. A Voth counselor leaned forward. Perhaps they should be classified as pre-industrial? These are weapons of primitive warfare. Admiral Barnes remained composed. Our weapons are effective for Earth's defense needs. Against each other, perhaps, Zevnar replied. But against any spacefaring civilization? The alien made a dismissive gesture. You would be helpless. As the human delegation returned to their seats, Commander Foster noticed something concerning. While most council members were amused or dismissive, a few were watching with calculating eyes not mocking but measuring. "They're not just laughing at us," he whispered to Dr. Chen. "Some of them are afraid." The human delegation gathered in their assigned quarters aboard Harmony Station. The room, while comfortable by Earth standards, felt suddenly confining after the humiliation they had endured. Admiral Barnes paced the floor while Ambassador Wilson sat reviewing notes from the exhibition. "This is worse than we anticipated," Wilson said, looking up from his tablet. "They don't just see us as underdeveloped. They see us as backward." Dr. Chen nodded. Their reaction to our weapons was telling. It wasn't just mockery. It was the kind of amusement you'd show toward a child playing with sticks and calling them swords. A chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a Murian diplomat, its semi-transparent body glowing faintly in the artificial light. "The Council requests your presence," it stated simply before turning to leave. The humans exchanged glances. "All of us?" Commander Foster asked. "Only primary representatives," the Murian replied without turning. Wilson, Barnes, and Chen followed the alien through Harmony Station's curved corridors. Unlike the public areas designed to accommodate all species, the council chambers were clearly built for the comfort of the founding races. The seats were too large, the lighting slightly too bright for human eyes. 7 council members sat in a semicircle on an elevated platform. Zevnar occupied the center position. "Representatives of Earth," Zevnar began. "The council has deliberated on your species' status following yesterday's exhibition. We have reached a unanimous decision." The air in the room seemed to grow heavier. "Humanity will be classified as a protected species level 3, Zevnar continued. "This designation is for species with space travel capabilities but insufficient defensive technology to ensure their own safety in interstellar space." Admiral Barnes stepped forward. "Protected from what exactly?" a Voth counselor answered. "There are dangers in this galaxy that would view your world as easy prey. Resource harvesters, slave traders, biological collectors. Without council protection, your species would be vulnerable." "And what does this protection entail?" Wilson asked, his diplomatic training keeping his voice neutral despite his concern. Zevnar's 4 arms made a complex gesture. "A standard protected species arrangement. Council ships will patrol your solar system. Your military development will be supervised to ensure safe advancement. Your weapon systems will be gradually replaced with approved council technology." "You're asking us to disarm," Barnes said flatly. "We are offering to upgrade you," Zevnar corrected. "Your current weapons are obsolete and dangerous, to yourselves as much as anyone else." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "And if Earth declines this arrangement?" The council members exchanged glances. One of them, a species the humans hadn't been introduced to, spoke in a rasping voice. "That would be most unwise. The Council's protection is not optional for species at your development stage. History has shown that unprotected young races rarely survive first contact with the wider galaxy." Wilson's diplomatic mask slipped slightly. "Is that a threat?" "An observation," Zevnar replied smoothly. "The Council has protected dozens of developing species throughout its history. All have benefited. Those few who refused no longer exist." The message was clear. "We'll need to consult with Earth's governments," Wilson said. "This decision affects our entire species." "Of course," Zevnar agreed. "You have 72 hours to transmit Earth's acceptance. A treaty signing ceremony will follow." Back in Dalby's, their quarters, the delegation erupted in angry discussion. "They're not offering protection, they're demanding submission," Barnes fumed. Wilson nodded grimly. "The question is whether we can afford to refuse." Commander Foster, who had remained silent during the council meeting, finally spoke. "We need to warn Earth. Whatever they decide, they should know what these protectors really think of us." Dr. Chen looked troubled. "I've been studying their historical records. Every species currently under protection has gradually lost autonomy. Their military, their resources, even their cultural development, all controlled by council oversight." Wilson turned to the communication terminal. "We'll send everything we've learned. Earth needs all the facts before deciding." As Wilson prepared the transmission, Commander Foster looked out the viewport at the massive alien ships surrounding the station. "I don't think they ever intended to accept us as equals," he said quietly. "They wanted subjects, not allies." "Then, they shouldn't have invited us to the table," Admiral Barnes replied, her voice filled with determination. "If humanity has one defining trait, it's that we don't surrender easily." Earth's leadership received the delegation's report with alarm. Emergency sessions convened across the planet as governments debated the Council's ultimatum. After 48 hours of intense discussion, Earth reached a consensus. Humanity would not surrender its sovereignty or right to self-defense. Ambassador Wilson delivered their answer to the Council, his words carefully measured. "Earth appreciates the Council's concern for our safety. However, we must respectfully decline the protected species designation. We propose instead a mutual defense treaty that respects Earth's autonomy." The Council chambers fell silent. Zevnar's iridescent skin darkened, a sign of displeasure Dr. Chen had learned. "This response is unexpected," Zevnar finally said, "and unacceptable. The Council has made its determination based on thorough assessment. Your species is not prepared for the dangers of interstellar relations." "Nevertheless," Wilson replied, "Earth's decision stands." The Voth counselor leaned forward. "Perhaps humans do not fully comprehend their situation. This is not a negotiation." "We understand perfectly," Admiral Barnes interjected. "You want to disarm us and control our development." "Earth refuses." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Zevnar raised two arms for silence. "The human delegation will return to their quarters while the Council reconsiders its approach," Zevnar announced. "Further communication will be restricted until a resolution is reached." As they were escorted out, Commander Foster noticed security, personnel following them, not as guides but as guards. "We're prisoners now," he whispered to Dr. Chen. Back in their quarters, they found their communication systems disabled. "They've cut us off from Earth," Lieutenant Kelly confirmed after examining the terminals. Hours passed with no word from the Council. The delegation grew increasingly anxious until an alarm blared through the station. The door to their quarters suddenly unlocked. "Something's happening," Foster said. "This is our chance." They cautiously entered the corridor to find it empty. Throughout the station, aliens rushed in apparent evacuation procedures. Admiral Barnes led them toward the docking bay where the UES Horizon waited. They encountered no resistance. Everyone was too busy with the emergency. "What's causing the alarm?" Dr. Chen wondered. They got their answer when they reached a viewport overlooking space. A massive fleet of Council ships was departing Harmony Station, forming a battle formation. "Those ships aren't heading away from the station," Foster realized, with horror. "They're heading toward Earth." They sprinted to the docking bay. The Horizon systems were already active. Engineer Powell had remotely started the initialization sequence when the alarm sounded. "We need to warn Earth," Barnes ordered as they boarded. "Full power to communications and engines." "Commander." Foster took the helm, disengaging from the docking clamps without clearance. The Horizon pulled away from Harmony Station as warning signals flashed on their screens. "Station control is ordering us to return," Kelly reported. "Ignore it," Barnes commanded. "Maximum acceleration." The Horizon surged forward, its fusion engines pushing to full capacity. But compared to Council ships, they were painfully slow. "The Council fleet will reach Earth days before us," Foster said grimly. Dr. Chen worked furiously at the communications station. "I'm broadcasting a warning to Earth on all channels, but there's interference. The Council is jamming our transmissions." "Ambassador." Wilson stared at the tactical display showing the Council fleet's trajectory. "This was never about protection. They planned this from the beginning." "But why?" Powell asked. "What threat could Earth possibly pose to them?" "Independence," Barnes replied. "We refuse to be controlled. That makes us dangerous in their eyes." For 3 days, they pushed the Horizon beyond its designed limits, trying to reach their home. They managed to receive fragmented transmissions from Earth. Defense preparations were underway. But against such advanced technology, what chance did they have? On the 4th day, they detected weapons fire ahead. They were still hours from Earth, but the Council fleet had arrived. "They're attacking without warning," Foster said in disbelief as they watched energy beams target Earth's orbital defenses. Admiral Barnes's face hardened. "So much for their civilized superiority. They mock our weapons while acting like the very barbarians they claim we are." The bridge crew watched helplessly as Earth's first line of defense, a network of orbital platforms, disappeared from their sensors one by one. "We're too late," Wilson whispered. The UES Horizon approached Earth space cautiously, using a stealth protocol Engineer Powell had developed during the journey. The main view screen showed devastation, debris from Earth's orbital defenses scattered across near-Earth space, while Council ships methodically targeted military installations on the surface. "They're targeting our missile silos and naval bases," Admiral Barnes observed, her voice tight with fury. "A textbook first strike against our nuclear capabilities." "What's our plan?" Lieutenant Kelly asked. "We can't fight that fleet with one ship." Commander Foster studied the tactical display. "Maybe we don't need to fight the entire fleet. We just need to change the equation." The Horizon's sensors detected a human vessel still intact. The UES Defiant, Earth's second most advanced military spacecraft, now drifting with minimal power near the remains of Luna Base. "They're playing dead," Barnes realized. "Smart move." Foster adjusted their course. "We'll rendezvous with the Defiant. Between our two ships, we might have a chance to do some damage." As they approached, they received a tight beam transmission from the Defiant. Captain Susan Rivera's face appeared on screen, her expression grim but determined. "Admiral Barnes, thank God you're alive. Earth defense forces are in disarray. The Council ships appeared without warning and targeted our command centers first." "What's your status, Captain?" Barnes asked. "Operational but hiding. Their first volley took out our main communications array. We've been observing their attack patterns. Their shields block our energy weapons completely, but we haven't had a chance to test kinetic weapons." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "The shields we saw demonstrated at the exhibition were designed to disperse energy. Has anyone tried physical projectiles?" "Negative," Rivera replied. "Most of our orbital railguns were destroyed in the opening salvo, but the Defiant still has a full complement of kinetic weapons." Admiral Barnes's eyes narrowed. "They laughed at our primitive weapons. Maybe it's time to show them what those primitive weapons can do." The two ships coordinated a desperate plan. The Horizon would create a diversion while the Defiant targeted a single Council vessel with its main railgun, a massive electromagnetic accelerator designed to launch tungsten rods at a fraction of light speed. "If their shields can't stop physical objects," Foster said, "one direct hit could change everything." Engineer Powell voiced concern. "The Horizon wasn't built for combat. We're a diplomatic vessel with basic defenses." "Then we'll have to be creative," Barnes replied. "Prepare to execute on my mark." The Horizon powered up its engines and raced toward the Earth at full speed, broadcasting an emergency distress signal on all frequencies. As expected, two Council ships broke formation to intercept. "They've taken the bait," Kelly reported. "Defiant is in position." Barnes nodded grimly. "Execute." The Horizon cut engines suddenly and spun 180 degrees, firing its point defense lasers at the approaching Council ships. The beams were absorbed by alien shields, exactly as expected, but the maneuver had served its purpose, drawing attention away from the Defiant. From its hiding position, the Defiant fired its main railgun. A 3-foot tungsten rod accelerated to 15 kilometers per second, aimed directly at the nearest Council vessel. Time seemed to slow as they watched the projectile's trajectory on tactical displays. The rod struck the Council ship's shield and passed through completely, punching into the hull behind it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Council ship's sleek form ruptured, atmosphere venting into space as secondary explosions cascaded through its structure. Stunned silence filled both human bridges. "Direct hit," Rivera reported, disbelief in her voice. Their shields didn't stop it at all. The remaining Council ships halted their attack, clearly surprised by the destruction of their companion. Dr. Chen stared at the tactical display. They never considered kinetic weapons a threat. Their entire defense system is designed for energy weapons, not physical impacts. Admiral Barnes allowed herself a grim smile. Send a message to all Earth Defense Forces. Kinetic weapons only. Railguns, missiles, even conventional artillery. Anything that fires a physical projectile. Commander Foster watched as the Council fleet's perfect formation faltered. They're reassessing, he said quietly. For the first time, they're afraid. They should be, Barnes replied. They mocked our primitive weapons. Now they'll learn why. We kept them. Earth's remaining defense forces rallied quickly once word spread about the Council ship's vulnerability to kinetic weapons. What had seemed like a hopeless last stand transformed into a coordinated counterattack. Admiral Barnes established a secure communication link with General Frank Mason, who had assumed command of Earth's ground-based defenses after the destruction of the primary command centers. Conventional artillery, missiles, railguns, anything that fires a physical projectile, Barnes instructed. Their shields can't stop them. Copy that, Mason responded. We still have submarine-launched missiles and ground-based railgun batteries that survived the initial attack. Engineer Powell worked frantically at her console aboard the Horizon, analyzing the damaged Council ship. Admiral, I'm detecting something interesting. Their vessels have almost no armor beneath the shields. What do you mean? Foster asked, looking over her shoulder. Their entire defense strategy relies on their energy shields. Once a projectile penetrates the shield, there's minimal structural protection. It's like they evolved beyond the need for physical armor, because no one in their experience uses kinetic weapons anymore. Barnes's eyes widened. They're glass cannons. Earth's counterattack began with submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Rising from the oceans where they had remained hidden, dozens of missiles streaked toward the Council ships. The aliens attempted to intercept them with energy weapons, successfully destroying some, but many got through. From their position, the crews of the Horizon and Defiant watched as missile after missile struck the Council vessels. Each impact penetrated shields designed to disperse energy, not stop physical objects. They're breaking formation, Kelly reported. Several ships are showing significant damage. The Council ships began to retreat, pulling back from Earth orbit in disarray. Earth's ground-based railguns opened fire, launching hypersonic tungsten, projectiles that tore through the alien vessels. They never expected this, Dr. Chen said quietly. Their technology is more advanced, but they've forgotten the basics of warfare. They've been relying on their shields for so long they never considered alternative attack vectors. A transmission came through from Zevnar's command ship, still holding position above Earth's northern hemisphere. This aggression will not stand, the alien leader declared, voice distorted by what might have been anger or fear. Cease your primitive attacks or face complete planetary bombardment. Before Barnes could respond, Captain Rivera of the Defiant cut in. My sensors show they're powering up their main weapons. They're preparing to target population centers. Not if we can help it, Barnes replied. All Earth forces, coordinate, fire on the command ship. The Horizon and Defiant accelerated toward Zevnar's vessel, each firing their railguns. From Earth's surface, remaining missile batteries targeted the same ship. Engineer Powell suddenly straightened at her console. Admiral, I've analyzed their propulsion system. The energy conduits that power their engines are exposed when their maneuvering thrusters activate. Meaning? Foster asked. Meaning we have a critical target. One well-placed shot when they're changing course could trigger a cascade failure. Barnes nodded. Captain Rivera, focus fire on their port thrusters when they begin evasive maneuvers. As the barrage of Earth's kinetic weapons approached, Zevnar's ship attempted to evade. The moment it rotated, exposing its thruster assembly, both human vessels fired simultaneously. Their projectiles struck the exposed energy conduits, triggering a chain reaction that rippled through the alien vessel. The Council command ship didn't explode. Instead, its systems failed sequentially, leaving it adrift and powerless. The remaining Council vessels began a full retreat, accelerating away from Earth at maximum speed. They're running, Kelly said in disbelief. Not all of them, Foster pointed out, indicating Zevnar's crippled ship. Admiral Barnes stood tall on the horizon's bridge. All Earth forces, hold fire on the disabled command vessel. Prepare boarding parties. Dr. Chen looked at her with surprise. We're boarding them? Barnes nodded. They came to our home uninvited, mocked our weapons, attacked without provocation. Now they're going to learn another human tradition. What's that? Foster asked. Capturing the enemy flag, Barnes replied. And with it, all their technology and secrets. As Earth's forces secured their unexpected victory, distress signals from the retreating Council ships spread across galactic communications channels. The message was simple but shocking to all. Who received it? The primitives had won. News of the Council fleet's defeat spread rapidly through galactic communications networks. Species throughout Council space received fragments of battle recordings showing the mighty Zalari ships falling to what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. For many subjugated worlds, the implications were revolutionary. 1 month after the battle, Dr. Chen sat in a converted conference room aboard the captured Council vessel, now designated Earth Command Station Alpha. Around her sat representatives from a dozen formerly protected species, each having secretly traveled to Earth after hearing of humanity's victory. The Council has controlled interstellar travel for over 3 centuries, said Vril, a feathered being from the Optera system. They classified my people as protected level 2. We've been providing resources to them while receiving approved technology in return. Same with the Dorna, added another representative, a stone-skinned humanoid. We were told it was for our own safety. Any attempt to develop our own defensive systems was labeled as destabilizing and shut down. Dr. Chen nodded, taking notes. And none of your species use kinetic weapons? The representatives exchanged glances. Vril spoke again. The Council banned them centuries ago. They called them barbaric relics unsuitable for civilized species. Now we understand why. Admiral Barnes entered the room, followed by Ambassador Wilson. The alien representatives stood respectfully, not out of fear as they might for Council members, but with genuine admiration. Our engineers have completed their analysis of the captured Council technology, Barnes announced. As we suspected, their entire defensive doctrine evolved around energy weapons. Physical projectiles were considered obsolete, so they stopped developing countermeasures. Wilson spread digital schematics across the conference table. We're prepared to share our kinetic weapon designs with all of you. In return, we ask for alliance against Council aggression. The alien representatives didn't hesitate. Each one stepped forward to place their hand or appendage on the document scanner, formally committing their worlds to the newly formed alliance of independent systems. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Horizon, Commander Foster met with Captain Rivera to plan their next mission. Earth's leadership had decided to take the initiative rather than wait for the Council's inevitable response. Intelligence from our new allies suggests the Council is in disarray, Foster explained, reviewing tactical displays. Some member species are demanding exploration of kinetic weapon countermeasures. Others want immediate retaliation against Earth. And our mission? Rivera asked. We're taking a diplomatic delegation to Zalari Prime, the heart of Council space. Foster allowed himself a small smile. They came to our world uninvited. Now we're returning the favor. Engineer Powell entered with the latest equipment upgrades. We've integrated some of their technology with ours. The Horizon now has twice its previous range and speed. What about weapons? Rivera asked. We're keeping our railguns, Powell replied. But we've improved the guidance systems using Council tech. We can now hit targets with pinpoint accuracy at 10 times the previous range. On Earth, military production had shifted into high gear. Factories that once built automobiles and consumer goods now manufactured advanced railgun systems and kinetic penetrators. Shipyards that had never existed before rose from coastal waters, constructing vessels designed to carry Earth's weapons to the stars. General Mason oversaw the training of Earth's first true space navy. The Council made a critical mistake, he told his officers. They judged us by our technology level, not by our adaptability or determination. In the secure medical wing of Command Station Alpha, medical officer Dr. Samantha Rogers made another breakthrough. She'd been studying the council species biology and made a startling discovery. Their entire evolution occurred in environments with minimal physical threats, she explained to Admiral Barnes. They have almost no natural resilience to physical trauma. It explains their reliance on energy shields and their shock when faced with kinetic weapons. As the alliance grew, more ships arrived daily from worlds seeking to join, bringing resources, technology, and determination. What had begun as Earth's desperate defense was becoming a galactic revolution. Ambassador Wilson stood at a viewport watching the growing fleet. The Council didn't just underestimate our weapons, he said to Dr. Chen. They underestimated the power of their own oppression. Every world they protected is now a potential ally for us. And none of this would have happened if they hadn't mocked those primitive weapons. Dr. Chen replied with a slight smile. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, a fleet of 50 ships entered the Zalari home system. The vessels represented 17 formerly subjugated species, with the UES Horizon and UES Defiant proudly flying Earth's flag at the formation's center. Commander Foster stood on the Horizon's bridge, watching the magnificent rings of Zalari Prime grow larger on the view screen. Unlike Earth's approach to Harmony Station half a year earlier, this fleet arrived not as supplicants but as conquerors. Council defense platforms are powering up, Lieutenant Kelly reported from his tactical station. They're hailing us with warnings to withdraw immediately. Admiral Barnes, now Supreme Commander of the Alliance Fleet, nodded to Communications Officer Julia Reed. Open a channel to all Zalari defenses. The view screen showed a familiar face, Counselor Zevnar, appearing significantly less confident than during their first meeting. This incursion into Sovereign Council space is a violation of galactic law, Zevnar declared, though his voice lacked conviction. Withdraw your vessels immediately. Barnes stepped forward. Your ships entered Earth space without permission and opened fire without provocation. We're simply returning the visit. Zevnar's iridescent skin darkened. The Council acted to protect galactic stability. The Council acted to maintain control, Barnes interrupted. That ends today. Your defense platforms will power down and your ships will stand down, or we will demonstrate our primitive weapons on your homeworld. After a tense silence, Zevnar gave the order to deactivate Zalari's defenses. The Alliance fleet proceeded to the orbital docking facilities above the Council capital city. On the surface, Ambassador Wilson led the human delegation into the Grand Council chamber, the same room where Earth's representatives had been humiliated months before. Now the chamber was filled with nervous council members and representatives from dozens of species, watching the proceedings with barely concealed hope. Wilson took the central podium, a position reserved for council leaders. The Alliance of Independent Systems presents terms for peace. First, all protected species designations are hereby abolished. All worlds previously under Council protection will determine their own governance and defense. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Zevnar, now flanked by Alliance security personnel, stepped forward. The Council has maintained peace for centuries. Without our guidance, the galaxy will descend into chaos. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display showing evidence gathered from dozens of worlds. Your peace was built on suppression and resource extraction. You deliberately kept developing worlds dependent while harvesting their resources and labor. Engineer Powell added, you classified kinetic weapons as primitive not because they were ineffective, but because they were effective against you. You feared what would happen if younger species discovered your weakness. Zevnar had no response. Admiral Barnes presented the formal treaty. The Council will continue to exist, but as an equal forum for all spacefaring species, not as rulers. Technology will be shared, not controlled. Each world will determine its own defense requirements. General Mason, who had commanded Earth's ground forces during the battle, moved to stand beside Barnes. Earth does not seek retribution for your unprovoked attack. We seek a new beginning, one built on mutual respect rather than domination. The uprary signing ceremony lasted hours as representatives from formerly protected worlds added their signatures to the new galactic charter. When it was done, the Council as it had existed for centuries was no more. In its place stood the Galactic Cooperative, with Earth as a founding member. Later, as Alliance ships prepared to depart, Commander Foster and Dr. Chen stood on an observation deck overlooking the Zilari capital city. "They still don't fully understand what happened," Chen said, watching council species below adjusting to their new reality. "What do you mean?" Foster asked. "They think they lost because of technology. Because our kinetic weapons pierced their shields. But that's not why we won." Foster nodded. "We won because they believed their own propaganda. They convinced themselves they were superior, that their way was the only way." "Exactly. The greatest weapon wasn't our railguns or missiles," Chen replied. "It was human adaptability. When faced with a threat, we didn't try to fight on their terms. We found our own advantage." As they watched, workers raised the new cooperative emblem alongside the flags of all member worlds. Earth's flag flew prominently among them. No larger or smaller than any other. "What happens now?" Foster asked. Admiral Barnes joined them, looking out at the stars beyond. "Now we do what humans have always done. We explore. We learn. We build." She pointed to distant stars barely visible in the alien sky. "And this time we go together, not as protectors or protected, but as equals." The Horizon's engines hummed as it prepared to lead.